name's Teresa Hadland, and I've been a physical therapist for over 30 years. I only moved to Frome about 6 years ago. And when I moved to Frome, I actually was one of the rare people who didn't know anything about Frome at all. It just so happened that we found a house that we were looking in a very wide area. We found a house that we really liked, and also meant that we could work from the house. I'm in the downstairs room at the moment, which is my clinic normally. And so it kind of ticked all the boxes. And so we ended up in Frome. And then I gradually started to find out what a brilliant place it is for all the things that all my life I've been really interested in, like ecology and sustainability and not wasting stuff and doing things yourself, finding ways of doing things yourself rather than expecting someone up there to do it for you in some way. So yeah, no, I really felt like I'd arrived in a really good place and really in line with my own way of seeing things. But although Frome is a very good place for sustainability, I think it's very common that we don't apply these ideas of sustainability to ourselves, to our actual own bodies. You know, if there's anything wrong with the body, we still look outside, we still look for someone else to kind of tell us what's wrong with it, rather than to find out for ourselves. And so I wanted to talk a little bit about that, because it's a bit of a turnaround often to trust the body, and really trust that it knows what it's doing, basically, that it's not a machine. It's often treated like a machine in the way that we think, oh, well, if something wears out, we can just replace it. But actually, it's a living organism that has a tremendous capacity for healing itself if it's given the right environment and the right support. And I think we often forget that when we're dealing with our own bodies. And one more thing, I don't want to talk for very long because this is a very broad, this is a very wide subject. But in the half hour that we have, I wanted to do something that's more experiential and more do an experiment, so that you can get a sense of what I'm talking about directly, rather than me just talking about it. But one thing that I do want to bring into the equation is something about how our minds and our bodies interact. And this is very interesting kind of concept, that our minds and our bodies are separate. And it becomes particularly obvious when we're in a Zoom meeting, because we only see our heads mainly. We only use our eyes mainly, you know, we're kind of overusing our eyes and this upper part of our body. And we could be doing anything, you know, we could be in any state underneath, you know. And I know that my son, who's been working from home ever since the first lockdown, I think he does meetings in his pajamas sometimes, because he doesn't need to, you know, he doesn't need to take any care with the rest of him. So we have this very evolved brain, we have this very involved mind, and it's very useful. It's a very useful part of us. It's quite it means we can relate to people, we can talk to people, we can express things in a way that others can understand. But at the same time, it has a particular way of viewing the body. It sees the body, it tends to look outwards. And so a lot of its, what's the word? A lot of its energy is put into noticing what's acceptable around it, or what information is coming from around it. And so it adapts the body to suit what it sees around it. And this could be someone else, noticing something in someone else and aspiring to be like it, or reading something about something and thinking, this is what I ought to be doing. And so the mind can often make us full of oughts and shoulds, and then that can cause a conflict with the body, because the body is much more direct. It has its own autonomy. It doesn't care so much about what's happening in the rest of the world. Its main focus is on itself. and the continuation of itself, and the good functioning of itself, and the efficient functioning of itself. So it has a very different way of seeing itself. So this little experiment that I want you to do in pairs is going to be looking at the difference between the mind doing the expressing for the body, to see what happens when the mind is quietened, and what does the body say? What does the body say? Okay. And I want to do a little bit of a demo rather than instructing you in it. I think an action is worth a 1,000 words. So I've asked Mike, this is going to be great fun to see if this works or not. We're going to spotlight us both. Mike's going to be, when we do the breakout rooms, you're going to have a chance to do it both ways round. So I'm going to be A and Mike's going to be B, just for want of another terminology. And then after 5 minutes in the breakout rooms, you'll swap over. So I'm going to be the facilitator to start with, and I'm going to talk to Mike, and Mike is going to be responding to what I ask him to do. Okay, so, right, shall we start? So, hi, Mike.
Hi.
I want you to make sure that you're sitting comfortably. Yeah, and forget about the screen, and see if you can put your feet on the ground so that you're actually comfortably sitting in your chair, but also your feet are placed on the ground. So you've got that contact, that support coming from underneath. And then I want you to close your eyes. Now, closing the eyes is really important, because immediately you close your eyes, your mind is quietened. Inevitably, because the eyes can't get all that information coming in. So this is important. The sitting comfortably and the closing of the eyes are really important. Okay, Mike, so what I want you to do now is I want you to start to scan very slowly through your body, from the top of your head, and slowly work down all the way to your toes. And as you notice things on the way, and I don't know what you're going to notice. There's no right or wrong here. I just want you to really see the kind of things that catch your attention, and then tell me what you notice. Starting at the head and then slowly working.
Tell you as I go down?
Yes, please. Okay. Yeah. A bit like one of those scanning machines.
Okay. Yep. I can feel tightness on the left side of my neck. I can feel my jaw is swollen. I can feel my lower back against the chair. It's not uncomfortable. I can notice my fingers on my thighs. I can feel the underside of my thighs slightly pulling on the chair. I can feel my trousers against my calves, and I can feel the carpet under my toes, under my feet.
Great. Is there anything else? Just give your body a little bit of time. The body is a bit slower than the mind generally. Mm-hmm. So sometimes
my elbows on the chair.
Okay.
I can feel some dryness in my mouth.
Okay. That's great. That's really good.
I can feel the weight of my glasses on my nose.
Wow, great. And what about inside? I notice you're mentioning the surface quite a lot. Is there anything kind of underneath the surface? Deeper in, like.
Deeper in.
I mean, just from the stress of being in charge of this meeting, for example.
No, especially part of my tooth is probably just quietly away in the corner there.
Yes.
That dominates a little bit. I'm noticing I could breathe a bit more deeply.
Great. Great. Okay. Okay, well, let's leave it there. And can you bring us back into the group? Now you can open your eyes to do.
Oh, good.
And if we go back to the gallery.
Yeah, there you go.
Do I have to do something? Because
You might have to do it yourself, yeah.
Well, yeah, I think I will.
Yeah.
The gallery view. Okay, so that was just one example. When you do it in the breakout rooms, hopefully, if it works, each person will have their own experience. And as the facilitator, as the one that's helping them, you're just helping them to express what's going on inside, okay? And the thing with the mind is that it often starts to edit. You know, something comes up, you get a sense of something, and then the mind will say, oh, that's stupid. You know, it can't be that. Or it'll say something, it'll justify it and say, well, that's because I've had a really busy day, and, you know, those kind of stories. So try and avoid doing that. Just notice it if it comes up, but don't get caught in it. Don't get caught in it. Just say, oh, that's my mind going. I'm not to listen to my body. It's my body's chance to have center stage. And if it helps to touch somewhere, sometimes if you've got an area and you're not sure what's happening there, like for example, if you feel like you're a little bit tight in your chest, put your hand on your chest, and just that contact can really help the experience. It can give help you to get more information from that area, or it can be, you know, a headache, or because I want you to see what the body, because the body often doesn't talk in words. It might be a sound like a oh, or a oh, or a yawn, or something like that. It doesn't talk in the same language as the mind. Okay, it has its own way of expressing itself. And this is an opportunity to get in, you know, to let that bit of you do the expressing. And yeah, so I think that's all I need to say.